I appreciate you, man. Yeah. Hey, about defunding the police. What do you think about that? Yo, yo, yo. What's going on, y'all? Gonna do some more reactions here. They're all set up. Alright, good to go. Just extend this. Alrighty. Yeah, dude.
Ooh, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. About you?
Pretty good.
Nice, nice. Fucking, what do you think about Joe Biden?
Um, he's okay. Not the best, but
Yeah,
you.
yeah. It says you both like Trump. You like Trump?
No, I hate Trump.
Why?
He was like, he made this country a joke.
How so?
Don't you agree?
How so?
I mean, if I have to explain myself, it's pretty evident that it's going to go nowhere.
Oh, I thought you were explaining, or we're going to.
I mean, the rise in white supremacy across the country in the past 4 years,
What?
the
How does that?
racism that's
How's that proven the rise in white supremacy?
by Trump, by the hat you're wearing, that's literally just a modern day KKK cap. Like, you know,
My hat says America.
Make America Great Again. What time period was it ever great?
It's great right now.
With Joe Biden? Okay, there we go. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how's
So
my hat
you
racist?
you prefer um so because you support Trump, right?
Yeah.
All right, so when you say that you support Trump, you are supporting a man who's basically tied to racial prejudice
How
in
so?
his words, his actions. How so?
Yeah.
His past actions.
What actions?
I'm gonna bring out the list because this is my phone.
Perfect.
Very perfect, actually.
Centurion, what's going on, dude? You know, if you're gonna say something about someone, at least have evidence to back it up. That's all I will say. Not something you'd have to pull up on your
I do
phone.
have evidence.
Well, let's hear it.
But I thought you guys valued factual information, not just hearsay, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, yeah.
Do 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 do
Anytime,
do
do you
do
like Joe
do.
Biden?
Do I like Joe Biden?
Yeah.
No.
Why?
Um,
Like policy wise,
yeah. What has he done policy wise?
that I like him?
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, he's kind of like billing out on like the 2000 stimulus checks. And he's also backing down like the $15 minimum, which sucks. But
The
other than that,
CBO came
he's
out today, and $1.9 million jobs will be lost, and 58 billion dollars in revenue will be added to our deficit. Or, sorry, 58
for
billion will be added to our deficit if the minimum wage is added. So a loss in $1.9 million jobs and adding 58 billion to our deficit is what you recommend.
so if we are losing all those, so right now, as we have it, what's the minimum wage in like the lowest countries? Like $7.5 an hour, I believe, right? And so that in itself is just insane because imagine being a working person only making about roughly like 250 like every week.
You know, worldwide, people who make $32,000 or more in their 1%. So if you make minimum wage and you have another earner in your household, You guys make more together than 1% in the entire world. The
And
place
then
that
you
you're
do,
talking about and how the difference in wage gap, well, it's the difference in standard of living. When you live in a place where you make the food and it's rural, um, and people trade food or services rather than um, actually giving just money for it. There's a difference in pay wage, and there's a difference in productivity. There's a difference in what you actually need to make your community survive. So, switching the pay raise, there's no actual evidence to show that that's going to change anything because raising wage doesn't produce more. And that's the issue with it is that these people pay these certain wages in these areas because that's what they can afford. If they were to pay their people more, they would. You think
so
everybody's just
why
stuffing
wouldn't
their pockets? These aren't people that are working big corporations. These are small businesses. They're majority of the time in these rural areas.
these giant monopolies are the reason why small businesses aren't thriving anyways?
What
And
monopolies?
all these huge companies are being like that basically have bought out
What huge
like
companies?
the government. You have the oil industry, the pharmaceutical industries.
Oh, what do you think about fracking?
Horrible, needs to be stopped.
Do you know we became independent on oil and energy and for the first time in our history to where we didn't have to rely on other countries for energy? That if we stop doing that, then we're going to have to go back into these endless wars for oil, like the Iraqi
Unless
wars.
we switch to renewable energy,
Do you
which
know
would
it
make a lot
costs
more
more
sense.
to go with renewable energy as far as environmental costs go? Because in order for you to get an ion battery, you have to dig a huge pit.
Did you know the world's literally
And Elon
uranium?
Musk is actually offering a bunch of money to synthesize so that he can create it easier without having the environmental costs.
So you're against the Green New Deal.
The first line of the Green New Deal talks about population control. What do you think about controlling the population?
In what way does it talk about population control?
Well,
Minimizing?
it's the very first line. If you want me to pull it up, you could search it for yourself. AOC's Green New Deal. And it'll pull up an
Yeah.
actual PDF for you. You can read it word for word, but the first line brings up population control. What do you think about population control?
Population control.
Yeah.
I feel like the government shouldn't regulate what people should or shouldn't do when it
Yeah.
comes to reproductive stuff. You
So
know?
I disagree with the Green New Deal, and it sounds like you would as well, based off the very first line. Um, like almost going down to the point to where they're saying in China they make sure that people can only have one male and one female, so limiting the amount of children you can have, limiting
But
population.
Green New Deal would not limit you how many children you could have.
What's that?
But the Green New Deal would not tell you you can only have one child and kill
Okay.
the rest.
Okay. Because that's the very first line. So
Mm-hmm. It just makes sense that a woman that, pretty active about women having the rights to abortions would also be in line with not controlling population in terms of that.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you should read it again.
Yeah, maybe I will.
And did you ever get your list pulled up?
Oh yeah, I did actually.
Let's hear it.
So just like it going like from back then. In 1973, the Nixon administration sued Trump for refusing to rent to black people. In the 1980s, Trump casinos were accused of
And
hiding black staff.
wait. With your first one, what was the verdict of that? Did they win the accusation?
I'm not sure. They just sued him.
It would be a good idea to look into it. because they could
It
sue
really
him.
was.
They could sue him for wearing yellow shoes.
I highly doubt they could do that.
Oh, you could sue someone
And
for
then in the
anything you want to.
1980s, Trump
So
casinos were accused of hiding black staff when Trump
accused.
visited.
Okay, so it's accusation. Have you looked into that one?
No,
Okay, so no actual proof. You said you're bringing facts to the table, so
accusations.
yeah. Okay, never mind.
Yeah. Then in 1989, Trump took out a full-pledged ad for the death penalty of a group of black men, the Central Park Five, effectively putting a bounty on their heads, plaguing them with a lifetime of threats.
And what did these men do? Was it based because they were black, or was it off of what they did?
Oh, the men were innocent, proven innocent too. I could look up the crime that
Because
they were
there's also
accused of.
stories of Donald Trump going and giving loans to black men, in his book that states that these guys would go all around the city trying to get loans from different banks and loan places, and he would go and he would invite them and get the business plan. He would give them the money, tell them that there's no interest involved, and once they get up and running and they have the money to pay him back, then they can come and pay him back. Once they would come and pay him back, they would go write him a check. He would hand the check to him, and he would take it and he would rip it up and he would shake their hand and say, "Congratulations on starting your business." That was
So the
a
men were convicted.
that was a black.
The men were
Those were black men. Those were all kinds of
so the
people,
men
though.
were
They
men
weren't
were
just.
convicted of raping a white woman, but they were later found to be proven innocent when the real rapists confessed to the crime after they served 6 to 13 years in prison.
And he printed a full-page ad.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that one. I haven't heard that one. But have you heard the
Mhm.
story of him going and helping people start businesses, and that he was very popular in New York, regardless of color?
Then here,
Okay.
here, 2019, Trump tweeted that four black and brown congresswomen should go back to where they came from, which would be like AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib.
They don't like the U.S.
They don't? Do you have any facts for that?
Oh, when he said it, that's why he said it. If they didn't like the U.S. and the way that it was running and who was running it, um, yeah.
They should go back to where they came from.
Well, if they don't like it, they shouldn't. If they want to, they can.
Oh, but I thought the American ideals were to fight for what you believe in. No.
You know, more people want to come here than any other country combined, and that we allow more people than any other country
Actually,
combined. We allow
just
more
using
immigration.
common sense,
More immigration
I
comes to the
highly doubt
U.S.
that anybody would really want to come to the United States given
More
every other
immigration
country.
comes to the U.S. than any
The
other
US
country
literally
combined.
is not all that. We're so
It's
shitty.
statistics, bud. Immigration comes to the U.S. more than any other country combined, which means that we allow more people into our country than any other country combined. You
Are
know
you saying that we
why?
shouldn't?
You know why? Because more people
Why?
want to come here. There's a line out the back door waiting for people to come to this country. So if you're going to talk shit about it and they want to talk shit about it, well, there's somebody waiting in line to have an opportunity to live a better life. So,
Live a better life in poverty.
yeah. Do you know what the poverty level is on a worldwide stage? About $1 a day.
Cool, but we live in the United States. Should probably have higher
Exactly.
standards.
Good point, bud.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially
So
compared to the whole
poverty,
world.
our
It's so
bums are
shitty here.
fat. We have the fattest bums in the world. If you make more than $32,000 a year, you're in the 1%.
Are you sure about that?
Oh, I'm 100% sure about it because the minimum wage worldwide does not compare in the U.S. and poverty levels are a lot higher outside of the U.S.
Why are you comparing it to the world?
Because you were talking about the world and the amount of people who want to come here and why people would want to come here.
Because the United States is not a prize. I mean, I don't know why people think that America is the best country in the world. It's really not.
Explain to me how it's not. We have the world's greatest
We're literally
thing. Like
one of the only major countries to not have universal healthcare. I mean, that's like a huge one. First of all, we have like
universal health
a
care.
huge race divide of like literal extremist white supremacists. Like
We do have
literally huge people.
government health care. We have both.
Universal healthcare,
Yeah, we do have both. We have private and we have government.
not
That
universal.
that's universal.
One universal.
That's
That's not
universal.
what it is.
You can have
So we
government provided health care, you can have private health care, or you can have
it all
universal,
is going
which
to be
is
one.
both.
It's not going to. We're not going to have a privatized sector that's going to,
We do have a
have.
privatized sector.
That's why it's not universal.
That's why it is universal.
Correct.
Okay, so what's it called then?
Free healthcare for
Free
all.
healthcare? Yeah, that would be through the government, correct?
Yep.
So it's
No
government
privatized
provided
sectors at
healthcare.
all.
If it's government provided healthcare and it's no privatized healthcare, then it would be straight government provided healthcare, correct?
But we have privatized, right?
What's that?
We have privatized.
Oh, we have both.
Yeah. So there's like a class, and that's why it's not universal. It's not all the same.
And how does that make it better if we didn't have private?
Because having private, it's like people with privilege have more access to that instead of everybody.
You know, in Canada in 2008, Canada got sued for crimes against humanity because a woman had gotten sick and she wasn't able to go to a private doctor. And when she went to the public doctor, it took her so long, she ended up getting more sick and losing, I'm pretty sure, both of her legs because of it.
Mhm.
And because she did not have the option to go to a private healthcare, and they prevented her from actually getting healthcare because of the wait and the amount of time it took to actually get the operation done compared to a private system where she would have been able to. So now Canada, the great Canada with their great healthcare system, is moving more towards a US system because they got sued for not allowing private healthcare. So now they do allow it, and they also have their government provided healthcare, just like the US.
Mhm. It's funny because people want to talk about how other countries that provide universal healthcare often have longer wait times, but here in the United States, I have to wait 2 weeks, a month, two
Yeah,
months for
and
a
you have
checkup
the
or a
option to
surgery.
go and get private, don't you?
That costs a shit ton of money
Yeah, but you
without
have the
insurance.
option.
A lot of people don't have the option. A lot of
Yeah,
people don't have all this money to
they
spend
don't have
and
the
go
money.
into
So
debt.
the issue isn't about the healthcare and where you're getting it from. It's about the costs. When you want to look into Donald Trump and how he fixed that, well, first of all, he did price transparency. When you go to the doctor right now, starting this year, I'm pretty sure in April, you'll have price transparency. You'll be able to see exactly what you're paying for. It'll be an itemized receipt when you go to the doctor now. Prior to that, you didn't see what you were paying. So the issue is you would go to the doctor, it'd be a shit ton of money, and nobody knew what they were paying for. So let's
Well,
figure out
actually,
what the
even
hell.
before, you can't ask for like a receipt to see what exactly you're paying
Oh
for,
no, you
even
can't.
prior to that.
They
Yes, you
legally
can.
don't have to do it, and that's why the law was passed, and you did price transparency. So now when you go, there's actually probably going to be apps that you'll be able to pull up on your phone and see what doctor is cheaper to go to once this does roll through. And then after that, because the issue is what you're paying. So once we find out, okay, why the hell are we paying all of this money for this shit? So when you look at it, we had sanctions to where we were able to only buy from inside the U.S. from the FTC, uh, and with that, made it to where if you were to go and do it outside of the U.S., you had to pay a shit ton of money, get a bunch of permits, get it tested every time. Now it's going to be to the point where he put in action to basically do preferred countries. So once we go and find out, okay, this country has the best stuff, it's been tested, now everybody has the availability to go and get it, and we don't have to go through this company who is the only one able to go and pay for the permits to actually go and test it and run it through the rigorous laws to actually produce it in the country, and then everybody buys it from them and they put a premium on it because they're the only one supplying it. So basically there was instance where you're paying $1,000 a pill in the US. Right over the border, you got someone paying 50 cents a pill. So people would go over into Mexico and get healthcare done. Simply fact, only because they were paying cheaper for what they were providing. And why were they able to provide it cheaper? Because of what they were charging for the supplies. Not the healthcare, not who was giving it to them, not anything like that. The plain and simple fact of what they were charging for what they were providing. And the reason why majority of these places have to charge so much is because there's a monopoly on the actual healthcare system. And the reason for that is because of the regulations and the strict laws we had to actually go and provide somebody healthcare. We had to go and have all of these permits and different things to provide for them, regulations, to hurdles to jump over. So people cornered the market. We can pay for all of this because we are rich, and then we can sell it to everybody else at a premium. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's Donald Trump for you.
We have the pharmaceutical industry like today that is the number one reason why all these things are highly marked up compared to other countries in products.
Yep.
Which is why Medicare for all would eliminate that.
No, it wouldn't.
Okay.
Why would I want to pay for somebody who is unhealthy?
So they can be a productive citizen in this country and provide for this country.
But why would I want to pay for them if they aren't productive and eat really bad and do bad things?
Do you pay taxes?
Yeah.
You're already paying for them.
At a minimal amount. You're saying to give everybody free health care, and you're also telling me the price is really high, regardless of where you go.
So they can be a productive citizen in this country and provide for this country.
But why would I want to pay for them if they aren't productive and eat really bad and do bad things?
Do you pay taxes?
Yeah.
You're already paying for them.
At a minimal amount. You're saying to give everybody free health care, and you're also telling me the price is really high, regardless of where you go.
Yeah, because it's simple. For universal health care,
It's
as
coming out of
simple
my
as
pocket. No, not everybody can pay for it, so it's coming out of my pocket. It's coming out of your pocket. It's coming out of everybody's pocket, except nobody can pay for it in the first place.
All the money that we're putting in taxes are actually going to go toward the people. That's like crazy. It's almost like it was meant to do that.
Let me ask you about this. You know about school unions?
No, what's it about?
Well, let me basically break it down to statistics that I heard that schools pay $1.80 for a reel of paper, and you pay, if you were to go to Walmart, can get it for maybe 5 cents to 20 cents, depending on where you go during school time, right? To where you get it really cheap. They pay $1.80 per reel. How does that make sense? Well, they go and do it through a union. So basically, I put it like this. If they're going to go and buy a pack of paper from somebody for $1,000, like a big bundle of it, buy it in bulk, or you can go and buy a little bit better quality of paper from another guy, guy B, for $2,000. Well, they have Group C, which is the union, and they say, all right, we're taking over this deal. We're going to hire the second person. We're going to charge $4,000. We'll pay this first guy, second guy, $2,000. We'll get the good paper. You take $1,000 and I take $1,000 because we set up the deal. And that's where our taxes are going. So you funnel it to these unions, pay the union. Union takes cut. The person who set up the deal to set up the union gets a cut, and then we pay for what's left over. Now you add up all of those costs, and why is it getting so and so pricey? Well, it's not that we need more funding, so we need reform. Where's this money going?
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, it's a simple thing, and it shows with statistics. Why are we paying $1.80 in schools for reels of paper when they're buying it in bulk for the entire school? And a little kid can go and do it if he finds a quarter on the ground and buy a real paper for cheaper than what the school can. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
Do you think capitalism is like the future of this country, not democratic socialism?
So the way that I explain capitalism, how it's better to someone who suggests communism or socialism,
Democratic socialism.
um, either way. Well, democratic socialism, Trump and Bernie Sanders are pretty much democratic socialists, so it's basically a populist. But either way, when you look at China, the reason why China comes over to the US and tries to steal our secrets is because we are innovative. China, socialism produces things, capitalism innovates things. When you start a business and under capitalism, you're like, I have a business, I'm going to start it, I'm going to try to build it up, right? Somebody can come along and create the same exact business as you because it's capitalism. When that happens, it creates competition in the business. We need to be better than this person, right? So the next thing's going to happen is innovation. They get a little bit better. Well, this one has to get better or it's going to fall behind. So what does it do? It either does the same or it gets even better, creating even better. So slowly builds up the business. So it creates massive corporations, which is the issue with most people where they see it. But the innovation that comes from actual creating a business, and then, I mean, look at the expansion of our innovation. It's been insane. But when you look at capitalism versus communism, the Chinese really haven't gone anywhere except they produce a lot. They can pump shit out and they charge their people nothing to do it, and they do it on a mass scale. And they've been just putting it into their army. So the difference between the two is innovation. I mean, I want better things to progress to actually get to, not a Green New Deal, but better, like, source of living, like less carbon footprint. I think that would be better, like to where we weren't making as much impact on the earth. I thought that would probably be good. I'm not saying that wouldn't, but the fact is getting there isn't going to happen overnight because of the fact that we rely on oil and fuel, and that's what we're built on.
That's why we need that transition.
But innovation, how do we get there? It's not going to happen overnight, and if we do it overnight, we're a wealthy country. The World Health Organization said that if we shut down for a year, 150 million people will die around the world. And the reason for that is because these countries, very poor, they produce possibly one or two things very well, and they trade it, and then they buy other things to be able to support their people. And when you go and cut off trade or you cut off things, like through the oil industry, to be able to produce a ship to go across when someone doesn't have the money to go and buy an electric ship or something like that, the difference would be our country might survive. There's going to be a lot of people who probably even die here, but worldwide there'll be a lot more that die if we do completely switch overnight. So I understand that it might seem like it's an issue that needs to be presented now, but
because we do need to deal with it now.
Why? I mean, the fact is the numbers really don't show that we should be freaking out, and it shows that it is changing, but it also shows that the poles are changing as well. So atmosphere is changing all around the world, which would affect weather. The ice sheet, it is getting, or the glaciers, they are getting smaller, but they're also spreading out. So it's not that they're just falling, they're spreading across the entire side, and where that's why it's not called global warming anymore. They switched the name in 2007 to climate change after synthesizing global warming and saying
and now it's a climate crisis.
Yeah, and then prior to global warming, it was actually that we were going to be freezing. So they were wrong the first time with the freezing. They came up with the global warming, and then after that, they found out we were actually probably going into a mini ice age again. So they switched it to climate change. So the difference is when you look at Obama and all these people and they're coming out and tell you to worry, they're also buying oceanfront property. They're telling you the sea levels are going to rise and that you won't be able to go and see the Statue of Liberty unless you scuba dive. I mean, so The difference is why would you go and scare people away from the shores and then go and buy up the properties once they go really low?
Because they're rich. They don't really need to worry about it.
So you're buying something that's a bad bet. I mean, that's gonna be underwater soon. I mean, that seems kind of snaky, right?
It's like kind of common sense that we obviously know that over millions of years, the Earth obviously goes through its ice ages and then, it unfreezes and it does over millions and millions of years. Now we notice in the past 150 years, we've completely escalated the process. Like
No, it's
it's
not
not
true.
ignorable that it
It's not
naturally
true.
happens in millions of years.
There was a
But
video
we,
that came out with John Kerry, and he was talking about the CO2 levels and how they're at massive levels, and talks about the last 800,000 years and how they're the highest in the last 800,000 years. And he's talking to a scientist, and the scientist says, "Why do you bring up the number 800,000 years?" And he's like, I don't know, that's just a statistic I have." And he says, "The only reason you do is because if you go before 800,000 years, the CO2 levels were 1,000 times higher than they are right now. So the fact is, uh, we're not making a difference." And he says, "Yes, well, we weren't here around then." And he says, "Exactly. So how are we making such a difference if it was 1,000 times higher?" When you look at CO2, CO2 is what feeds plants. How are we going to go and lower the CO2 levels when we're trying to have plants grow? The CO2s are at a record low right now. Um,
no, it's not.
well, not record low. They're at a record low as far as um, the beat. The overall global output, we last year were at a record low compared to the last 20 years, I'm pretty sure. And the difference is it's getting so low now that there might be a chance that there won't be in certain areas enough CO2 to actually even grow grass or anything. So there will be droughts, is what they're expecting next, in some areas.
Well, of course, droughts are going to happen too, of course, because of all
So no food.
the lack of vegetation. It's going to like just make a bunch of areas become deserts, basically. And then